To Simply Green Radio here on News Radio 1180 WHAM. Simply Green Radio brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Rooter Plumbing. In studio with Maurice Aubrey, also Pete Marisi, True Story Pete, Brenna Hartman, and also with Mike Parks, the Director of Renewable Energy at VP Supply Company. And before we go to the phone lines, we want to thank John for being patient. We're going to get to John in just a second. But Brenna, help me out here. Anything that we're talking about here tonight, especially with the with solar, people can there's a specific solar page on mysimplygreenenergy.com.
Yeah, well, we have a couple calls lined up and still a lot to talk about left on the show, so I want to make sure that our listeners are aware they can go to mysimplygreenenergy.com. We have a solar page right there on the website as well as a contact us page. So if we don't answer a question, we will get back to you. Please utilize the website to get a hold of us.
All right, let's go to the phone lines right now. We'll welcome in John in Rochester. John, thanks for being patient. Welcome to Simply Green Radio.
Thank you. Got a question from Mike regarding utilizing solar panels for using them for heating pools, and what the payback might be on something like that.
Well, we really wouldn't use PV to heat your pool. We'd end up going with like a solar hot water, and there's a couple different options on that. Just to do pool heating is relatively inexpensive. You'd use like a hard poly plastic that would go up on your roof, and your pool pump would actually pump the fluid up onto your roof and then dump it back into the pool. And that's really effective if temperatures are 60 degrees and above in the ambient temperature. And then you have your glazed panel, your flat plate glazed, or you have your evacuated tubes that you would use, and that would be more doing your house for maybe some supplementary heating and all your domestic hot water, and using your pool as a dump load.
Okay.
There isn't any tax credits available for just pool heating. So if that's all you can do is pool heating, you're going to lose out on the tax credits. And I'm not a big fan of doing hot water heating in this part of the country because there's not a lot of energy when you need it, unless you have a pool. So in the summertime, when you have the excess heat that you're not going to utilize, you have a place to put it.
I'll tell you, Mike, we actually were talking with a customer the other day that has that. He's using those evacuated tubes. He's heating his pool in the summertime, and in the wintertime, he's melting the snow off of his sidewalks and his driveway.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Ernie Day is going to be a guest, and
Right.
I think he's from Global Point Technologies, and I think he's coming up sometime in April. But he's a very interesting fellow. He's a real expert on that evacuated tubes.
Very, very
Right.
interesting.
John, you got a bunch of experts around the table here. You got a follow-up question, or are you all set?
No, that was good. I appreciate the information.
All right, John, we appreciate the phone call. That frees up another line now, folks. 222-1180. Again, 222-1180. In studio with Maurice Aubrey, Pete Marisi, Brenna Hartman, and Mike Parks, the Director of Renewable Energy at VP Supply Company. Again, Simply Green Radio brought to you by Simply Green Energy and Mr. Rooter Plumbing. We'll go right back to the phone lines right now. We'll welcome in Jim in Rochester. Jim, welcome to Simply Green Radio.
Thank you. I have a ranch home, and on the south side, which is the sunny side, I have a picture window that is 12 feet wide. And I'm just wondering, for a solar awning type of panel there, at the present time, what would that really cost for a 12-footer?
Well, 12-footer isn't going to be very much power. And so I guess that's probably one of the things, too. It's a good question that you brought up, is that how much energy do I need? How much area do I need? And basically, it's 10 watts per square foot you can figure to fit in for your energy. So I've got 400 square feet of solar panels to make my home net zero energy. So that's quite a large area to reduce. And again, you don't have to. Everybody's like, well, I have to get rid of all my utility bill. No. You can do percent. It all depends on what you have in your budget. But you can do percent of net zero. You can do 10%, 20%, 30%.
And if you do that, do you still qualify for the carbon credits and the tax incentives? Because if Jim's asking about cost on the system, that's something that can help with the cost, correct?
Correct. The only thing that you can always expand, and you can always get tax credits. So far, they're being applied now, and your S credits, which is basically a pollution permit, if you will. You can keep adding on to those and getting more money back. The only area that you actually lose if you don't do it all at once would be NYSERDA. The NYSERDA is doing $1.75 a watt for your system at this time, up to 7 kW, and that's a one-time application per meter. So if you've already gotten NYSERDA money for that meter socket, they won't let you go in again. So they won't let you expand that system and go on. You got a one-time shot to do that.
And there's a limit, correct? And how big you can go in a system. I mean, you can't overbuild a photovoltaic system. NYSERDA won't fund any more than 110% of your current usage. They won't get involved in a project. The utility company for your interconnections is 25 kW and under. But if you're going to sell your power back to the utility company, you're going to be doing it at a wholesale rate. It's not really worth it to you. So
is that like go big or go home?
Yeah.
In a way? I mean, you want to do it all at once because you can't continue to add on and qualify for
the NYSERDA. You still can add on and qualify for tax credits and other stuff. This is only the NYSERDA money.
Oh, okay.
And they're only going to 7 kW for residential and 50 kW for commercial at this time anyways.
All right, so I'm sorry. We've talked about spinning the meter backwards, and we said that carbon credits. How does it work? Is it money? Is it credits? How does this work?
Well, as far as your energy usage and what you produce on your site, that's where your meter would go backwards and forwards.
And
you only pay at the end of the year basically for what you actually used. So that would actually they put a net meter in this, so they read how much power you've actually made.
Special meter.
Yeah, special meter just for this. S credits don't have anything to do with the utility meter. So the S credits is a pollution permit. And basically, if you got a coal plant that's doing a lot of pollutions, they can only pollute up to so much, and they have to buy carbon credits. Right, it's all part of the climate bill. And
Mike, why don't you get into you mentioned S credits? There's some listeners that I'm sure haven't a clue what an S credit is.
Yeah.
What is an S credit?
I don't either.
It's just it's just
come on, Pete.
A real easy way to look at it. It's a pollution permit.
Right.
And if there are companies out there that do a lot of polluting that are required by law to buy the credits because to reduce their carbon footprint.
Real quick, Jim, are you still with us?
Oh, yes.
Have we answered your question?
Well, maybe you did, but it might be a little bit beyond my comprehension. But I'm still wondering, though, the installation costs for a 12-foot solar awning at the present time. Do you have any estimate? Would it be like $20,000 or? No,
a good way to look at it, because it's the price per panel. Turnkey installation is basically, after all your tax credits and everything, is a 10-year payback. So however much power you want to reduce, if you just take that annual bill, your yearly bill, and you multiply that times 10, that's what the system should really cost you. Okay, after your tax credits and your incentives and everything. So if you wanted, if you were doing $1,000 a year and you wanted to get rid of an electric bill, it'd be $10,000 out of pocket, right? Is what it should be, or should cost.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, I think I have a better understanding now. So thank you very much. I appreciate the information.
Hey, Jim, we appreciate it. And before you hang up, Jim, we'll a lot of information, but we'll give you a website, mysimplygreenenergy.com. Again, mysimplygreenenergy.com. Hopefully that can help you out as more as well.
Okay.
That frees up another line now, folks. 222-1180, the number to call. Again, that number 222-1180. In studio tonight with Maurice Aubry, also Pete Marisi, Brenna Hartman. Maurice Mo is the project manager at Simply Green Energy, specializing in renewable energy. Pete Marisi is the project manager for renewable energy for Mr. Reuter Plumbing, specializing in water conservation and its green division. Brenna Hartman, a fixie chick, founder of healthyhomesofrochester.com, and also Mike Parks, director of renewable energy at VP Supply Company. All in studio with us tonight. We do need to cut away for a quick break, but we'll be back with more of Simply Green Radio here on News Radio 1180 WHAM.